Hey guys, Brennan Schutte with Midwest Outdoors, and I'm sure all of you guys remember that TV show used to be on MTV, Pimp My Ride. Well, this is Pimp My Ride Ice Fishing Edition. Let's get after it. One of the most asked questions I get when it comes to ice fishing is what type of ATV should you buy? Well, pretty much every brand out there right now is very good ATV. They all have good running motors. There really is no specific brand that I would even want to recommend when it comes to ice fishing. My suggestion to you is find an ATV that's going to be universal. Like this thing, when I take all this stuff off at the end of the ice season, I use it for yard work, just running the dogs down the gravel road. I use it in the fall for hunting. So this machine right here is just a standard utility type four-wheeler. This isn't like a trail rider or anything like that. But I've converted this thing into what I think is one of the ultimate ice fishing machines that I could probably get out of just a smaller, cheap four-wheeler. So the first thing that I put on here was this front extension rack. And what this did was it just allowed more room onto the front rack of the four-wheeler. So if you come over here and check all this out, what I have laid out on this rack, I have auger mount up front, and then I have just behind that, because I run all drills, all Milwaukee drills for my augers. Now I just have this soft-sided cooler for all of my drill batteries in here. And one thing I added inside this bag, you can see this switch right here, is this this little heat pack system. I don't even remember where I got it, but that runs just off of a USB, and it heats all my batteries inside here so they don't get cold. All right, another item that I added to this four-wheeler, to this machine, is one of these battery boxes. I never really thought I would use it as much as I really do, but the way I mounted it on this front rack is it's got its own little spot right in here. Slides right in that little cradle there. I have some latches on the side here that keep it fastened down to the four-wheeler so that you're not going to be dealing with loose wiring after a while, that type of thing. But this unit right here can power my Humminbird for mapping. You can charge cell phones. You can run different types of graphs off of it. You can even charge your Vexilars, anything that you really need as far as being out on the ice and just having that extra power source is really awesome. So on this four-wheeler, I added, I think it's right around a dozen rod holders. I know to a lot of you it looks like overkill. It's pretty busy on this four-wheeler. But the reason that I do that is I tournament fish. And when you're out tournament fishing and you're working a school of crappies, a school of bluegills, and a color isn't working, the type of jig isn't working that you're throwing at them, and instead of having to retie when it's 0 degrees out, I could just grab a different rod off of one of these racks and I could just put the other one back, and if that's not working, just keep switching rods out. That way everything is just readily available for me while I'm on the ice. Another thing I added onto this unit is this removable little light bracket that I made. I wanted to permanently mount like a light bar onto the front of this rack, but the way I have my four-wheeler set up, it's on an open trailer for towing to the lake, and I just didn't want anything to happen, a rock kicking up from the truck and busting these lights. So what I did is I just hardwired these in and hooked up a cigarette plug, and that hooks up right into the four-wheeler. And so when I turn that four-wheeler on off, that's its power source, is the starting battery. But I like to be able to remove these lights because 90% of the time I'm only fishing in the daylight. I'm never really staying out after dark anyways. Just gives me some added extra light, extra safety when running back across the lake. I can adjust these any way that I want to. I can disperse them out to the sides. And that way, you're just not going to run into anything when you're coming back in the dark. So when I'm out tournament fishing, I want to be as mobile and as fast as possible on the ice. I have this auger rack set up front right here, so as soon as I jump off this four-wheeler, I can grab the auger, pop a hole, and as you can see here, I put this box dead center of the front rack. This box is for my live imaging sonar setup, so I can pop a hole, I can grab my live imaging sonar system, scan whichever direction, and try to find fish. If there's no fish, I can put it all right back onto the four-wheeler and go another 200 feet and just keep scanning. Now, even if you don't have a live imaging setup, you could build this box right here. You could put your Vexilar unit, your Markham unit, whatever type of flasher system that you have, just so that it's readily available for you as soon as you're done popping that hole. and you can just drop your sonar right in and start scanning for fish. To me, one of the best tools to have on the ice is good mapping of the lake that you're on. So I added my Helix 7 Humminbird just up here on a ram mount. That is just connected to a cigarette plug that goes into that battery box. That way I have hands-on mapping right here at the handlebars. When I'm going across the lake, I can zoom in, zoom out, just one touch. I don't have to stop, and I can just keep right on going. So another item that I added to this four-wheeler is this roto-molded rod locker. And the reason I wanted to add this onto this four-wheeler is sometimes, even just when I'm fun fishing, we're making long runs on the ice. And if you're running across some lakes that they froze over when it was wavy, or just the hard packed snow drifts, it can be really rough on your equipment, including your rods. And so I added this on here just for making those long runs. Holds 4 rod reel combos and just keeps them safe, keeps them tucked in. They're not going to be flying around, flying off the four-wheeler or anything like that when you're flying across the lake. So, and it just hooks right onto the four-wheeler with this boot that's on here. Slides right on. Just another cool thing I added to this wheeler. So on the rear rack of the four-wheeler, I built this 3/4 inch plywood box. There's a number of manufacturers out there that'll make a steel cage type box or aluminum frame. I just decided to make it out of 3/4 inch plywood, painted it black just so that you're going to get water and snow and everything else on it, so that way it doesn't rot. But this back box here will hold 3 5-gallon buckets. As you can see in the back side here, I have a backpack. I actually have a cooler right here that I use to put fish in for tournaments. I can put my sonar flasher here in the back. I mean, it's just a lot extra room just for any type of gear that you're going to be wanting to bring on the ice. On the side here, I have 4 schoolie rods set up for tournament fishing. I added this bump board right here, very accessible. If I want a quick measure of fish, toss it back in for the tournament. And when you come around to this side, so another thing I added on the back of this ATV off the box here that I built was just another auger rack for another drill setup. The reason I did that is just for running in tournaments. You break stuff. Things happen. You break an auger, and I just wanted to have the peace of mind of having another auger on the back here should something happen. So now this rear ATV box is just bolted on to the steel frame of the four-wheeler, and I just used some U-bolts to fasten it on the back side of the box, so that way it can't lift up, anything like that. I put some wood bracing underneath here just to keep it off of this metal hook lip that's on the steel frame of the four-wheeler. And this thing is solid. I mean, it's not coming off. It's not going to wiggle apart. Very solid. When customizing your ATV for ice fishing, there really is no right or wrong way to do it. It comes down to what type of fisherman you are, what type of fish you're chasing, whether it's panfish, walleyes, northern pike, you're chasing perch. And the cool part, just about decking out your four-wheeler is just designing and building, kind of what you need for a day on the ice, whether you're a tournament fisherman or just, the average Joe wanting to go out on the ice and you need a ton of gear to go out and do it. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Pimp My Ride Ice Fishing Edition. I'm Brennan Schutte with Midwest Outdoors. We'll catch you on the ice.